welcome to the Footy Interchange. Adam Papalia, Will Schofield with you. This is the show where we get right around each and every state around the country and check in with our experts, finding out the latest from those in the know about everything in footy. And Will Schofield, as I welcome you in, mate, thankfully the Saints saved us from, I think, was probably just about the worst round of footy that we've almost ever had.
Well, it was the worst because it was so dominant. I saw a stat from Sir Swamp this morning while I was browsing at some hour of the morning. I've been up early today.
Why have you been up since 2 a.m?
Well, I mean, one of my children woke up. That's the reason I woke up. And then I was just like absolutely wired. So I've just been working all morning. It's been great.
So anything is possible in the podcast today.
Correct.
With Scully coming off a 2 a.m. start.
Could go really well or really badly. I think that, yes, I saw Sir Swamp's sort of, there's only been 5 times in the last probably like 10 or 15 years where 6 sides have got...
This is the 2 a.m. start kicking in right about here.
So it was all coaches' votes to one side. It happened in 6 games.
Yep.
So that makes sense, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
It's only happened 5 times in the last 15 years.
Yeah. We just showed the gap.
And this round was 1.
Showed the gap between the teams in pretty much all games, bar the last one.
Yeah, and the last one was just very lucky to have happened. Like
well, it was 46 points at three-quarter time.
Yeah, it was shit house for 3 quarters. So it's only luck that one actually turned into a good game.
So I'll say if that margin held, and it was a 46, 50-point margin in that last game as well, we would all be, this week would have been dominated by state of the game, how bad is this, what is going on the rest of the season. One good game, one amazing finish, and everything's rosy again, and we all love footy again. Yeah, that's the margins we're working in right now.
But like the whole fixturing, like everyone's banging on about that, and State of Origin, like it's the same thing every time. It's like one thing happens and the league's cooked, and one thing happens and the league's the best ever. And Tassie's got a roof now, so we're going to Tasmania. Like it's just ridiculous all the time.
It is going to be still, I think, a very interesting finish to the season.
Yes.
Because we know, and we definitely know now that there's a clear gap between the 9 and the rest. And we knew that before going into last week, but there's definitely no chance that the Swans make it, or Port Adelaide with their recent form. The Western Bulldogs sit in 9th spot right now. How have you looked at the ladder predictor going through these last 4 rounds of footy?
I keep doing the ladder predictor. I don't know if anyone else is doing that on afl.com.au, but I pretty much every day. I pretty much every night. Like I flick through my fantasy side, make sure my tips are in, which they rarely are, and then I don't put them in, and then I forget on Thursday, and I get Thursday night wrong. But I do the ladder predictor and over because I don't know, I just enjoy sort of playing with who beats who. And there's, what I've learned out of it, there's about 4 really important games the next 4 weeks. Now, there's probably an upset or 2 brewing, no doubt. Someone will get done when they shouldn't. But if everything goes to plan, the favourites win, and sides beat who they should beat, there's about 3 or 4 games that are massive. And I think it's probably down to 2 sides. And again, unless someone really shits the bed, Paps. I think it's between Hawthorn and Western Bulldogs who don't make finals here, and one of them's probably going to win 14 or 15 games and not make finals. Freo's another one that can.
Yep.
I just don't think they are. I think they're playing too good a footy. But like this Thursday coming up, Hawthorn-Collingwood is a massively important game. If the Hawks can win that, I think they're safe to a point. But if they lose, it puts them in a really vulnerable position to miss finals, which is going to be outrageous if they go and win 14 or 15 games and miss finals.
Whoever misses out this year is going to feel extremely, extremely hard done by.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's the Bulldogs. My predictor has the Bulldogs missing.
Yep.
But in saying that, I have Hawthorn winning this Thursday night. So if that flips, and I just flipped, I've got it right in front of me, Hawthorn miss.
Yeah, I mean, the Dogs' percentage is the thing that gives them that shot of getting in, even though they're 2 games back from most of those other teams that they're competing with, and the Suns are 1 game ahead at the moment, but they've got an extra game to play.
The Giants is a worry. The Giants is a small concern, and again, I just flicked another game, and the Giants just missed finals.
They've got some injuries now.
The injuries, suspensions. Yeah. And Sam Taylor's still not back in the side, or is he back? Maybe back this weekend?
He's back last week.
Sorry, back last weekend. But Jack Buckley's now out.
Yep.
They've got a suspension to their captain. They've got Josh Kelly is out with a calf for the rest of the year. So he was just back in as well. They've got a couple of holes, but I still rate them really highly. But If those injuries start to sort of open up some spaces where teams can attack them, they're in a vulnerable position. And again, they would be extremely stiff to miss finals.
Absolutely, they would be. They were super impressive in that Sydney derby on the weekend, in the second half in particular. There was so much going on in that game, and a lot of it was great theatre in terms of the rivalry. It was good to watch. There was some byplay with Toby Green and Tom Papley in the chat at halftime as well. We were doing this game on radio, and I suggested at the time, which I think most people did, that he was going to get a week for that striking thing on Isaac Heaney. Since come out that there's some other vision of some other stuff going on too, Scully. Should he be looking at a longer suspension?
I didn't know you were going to ask me about this. I hated that. I hated it with a passion that vision came out. It felt like really grubby. We're going to go, this is Toby Green, and we're going to go find some footage, and we're going to do him for some more, especially because it's Toby Green. If you ISO'd every matchup in the comp and you got cameras on every player at all times, you would pick one or two of these up a game, I reckon. Things that you don't really like. Because I know you're about to come at me.
This action.
You're about to come at me. No, actions that you don't like. And you don't like this, do you?
No, I don't.
Well, just let me tell you, things happen on the footy field that you're not going to like. And it happens more often than you think. Yep. And if we're rolling out things on a Tuesday after a Friday game, sorry, time's done. What happened on the field stayed on the field, unfortunately.
Statute of limitations.
Absolutely, there is.
So if you don't find it within the first 24 hours, you've got away with it.
If you're going to be a grub and you're searching through the footage looking for stuff, because that's what happened. Don't.
So who's being a grub here?
Well, whoever found it. Who was looking for it in the first place?
I don't think that's not
someone
the thing you should
went
be
and looking for it. I guarantee you.
That's not the thing you should be looking at.
What should I be looking at, Adam?
The actual action that happened. There's
nothing. I know you hate that stuff.
There's nothing to look for if it didn't actually happen.
Yeah,
and that's not an action that should be happening in a game of footy, either in the play or off the play or anything like that.
Yeah, but
should be a fine at least.
Yeah, but players aren't perfect, mate. So
but just. Yeah,
we would have no one suspended, and there'd be no tribunal, and there'd be no umpires. Actually, if players did the right thing all of the time, we wouldn't need umpires, tribunal. You wouldn't even need anything. You just let the players umpire themselves.
Not perfect, but if they do the wrong thing, then they should get the consequences of it, whether you find it in the first 24 hours or not.
Yeah, see, I don't agree with that. So what happens? Okay, what happens? Okay, you tell me. So do you think there should be a limitation or not? Yes or no?
Within a week, then.
Yes or no?
At least
1 week.
Yeah.
So what if 3 weeks ago I find someone that's been king hit behind the play?
Well, that's not going to happen if it's king.
Why not?
King hit.
Oh, what about an elbow? What about an elbow to the face?
I'll have
3
to think
weeks,
a bit further
2
about
weeks,
how long that is.
4 days.
But it depends on this. If you're throwing
That's
a back
bullshit.
heel between someone's legs, there should be consequences for that.
No, you do the review. If you don't get it, bad luck. You can't have a statute of limitation around timings, because I'll just be an idiot like that and say, well, what's the limit? 1 year? Can we go find something from last year? 2 years?
No,
10
not
years?
2 years.
No.
I think
so. There is a
off,
limit.
Though, surely
1 week.
Yeah.
Well, when's a week off
At
finish?
least.
So Wednesday
By
night,
the time they play
Thursday
again.
morning, Friday.
By the time they play again.
It's just garbage,
Now
mate.
you're arguing semantics. I think that if the vision is there and it is found, then yeah, absolutely you should.
So suspend him. You want Toby Green suspended?
Is it a suspendable offence?
Did you kick him in the nuts?
That was that type of action.
Was he trying to do that?
What else was he trying to do?
I don't know.
He's just trying to run forward, was he?
Well, like, this is the thing, mate. Like, this is the exact thing. If you're going to go and get the bird's eye view from the 50th bloody row in the stands, that's what you get. You don't get to suspend them, unfortunately.
I think you should if they've done the action.
Nope. You don't, mate.
I don't understand why we're having this argument.
Well,
because if you've done the action on the field, then you should be responsible for the consequences if it's a reportable offence.
Right,
so maybe this one's just a fine. I haven't looked through the metrics of what it would actually fall under.
And if it's seen.
Yeah.
So what if it's not seen?
Well, then you get away with it.
Right.
But
so,
you should.
Good point.
They should be looking closer at these types of things then.
How closely,
so that
though?
we don't have that action happening.
How closely are we looking?
Well, obviously not close enough.
What if there's a big elbow to the throat and the player, it's not an outcome-based one, but it's a terrible action, my action over outcome. Mm-hmm. What if it's just completely off the play and you never see it? It's never on camera. So should that be suspended or not?
Well, yeah.
Well, I don't think
if you get evidence that it happened.
No, I don't think we should suspend every little thing on the field because I think
no evidence. But if the evidence arrives, then you have to address it.
No, I don't agree with that.
All right, we'll continue to argue with this one. It seems pretty obvious to me, but Scully's gone completely the other way. Would love to hear from you.
2 a.m. start.
Yeah, that might be it. I'd love to hear from you in the comments whether you think these things should be retrospective or if after 24 hours they get away with it.
Can I add, and would it be different if it wasn't Toby Green? Because I think there's a significant tax on that. If that was an image of Tom Powell from the Kangaroos on...
But it shouldn't be like that, It shouldn't be like
that. But it is. Absolutely it is. And tell me if you agree with me. It's a Toby Green thing.
Yeah.
Just like it's a Harley Reid thing with a bunch of stuff.
Personally, I'm not speaking about Toby specifically here. Sure. It's about any player doing that type of action off the ball. If it comes to light afterwards, then absolutely it should be looked at, in my opinion. But let us know what your opinion is in the comments as well. Big show to get to. We're going to get right around the country, dissect all the weekend's footy action, look ahead to another big round of footy. As always, we'd love you to become a patron, join in on Patreon and support the podcast. That way you can get your questions answered as well. We'll give you some more information on that a little bit later on the show. But let's get to it, Scully, before we fall asleep. Let's get to it. This is the Footy Interchange. The Footy Interchange as we head to Victoria to chat to our man Drew Jones from Fox Footy and, of course, Goat Fantasy for all your fantasy news. It's getting to crunch time in the season for everybody, so we'll talk a little bit of that at the end of this. But Drew Jones, great to chat to you, mate. Everyone's been talking, of course, about the Saints and the finish and Nasiah Wanganeen-Milera and the way that he was able to win that game for St Kilda. How much is this going to affect his contract? Just adding a few more zeros in. Will we see an announcement soon?
Hey, it can't hurt, that's for sure, boys. When you play like that, last quarter was quite sensational. Couple of goals, 10 disposals, match-winning performance from Nasiah. So we understand that it's now 1.4 a year over 2 years for the Saints, that they're sticking with the short-term extension for Nasiah if he wants to stay. Longer-term offers from Port Adelaide and Adelaide to get him back to South Australia. So the Saints line they keep rolling out here with Nasiah is they're hopeful, but they're not quite sure what's going to happen. Generally, when it gets to this time in a season and we haven't seen someone recommit to their club, that usually means that they're going. I'm just wondering if the way it all unfolded on Sunday, match-winning performance, then they had the pre-arranged club function, I think at the Brighton Hotel, something like that. You see the video of Naz up on Ross Lyon's shoulders. They're having a bit of a dance. Like, is this the sort of thing that can it flip a contract negotiation? All of a sudden, he wants to buy into this Saints program. He feels like he's the main man. He's been given the keys playing through the midfield. And Sky, I wanted to put it to you. Is there any way that if Naz was leaning towards going to South Australia, would Sunday have changed his mind at all? Could he flip here?
Yes. Spoke about this last night. That's the best thing I've seen out of the St Kilda Footy Club in 10 years. Like, it actually looks like they get it. Getting the coach blind, no doubt. There's no way he wasn't blind. Having the player who's just won the game on his shoulders at a pub with the players all around him chanting. That is footy. So they get it. So, yeah, absolutely. But I would just ask back to you because you've got a better understanding. So over here, it looks like there's a lot of noise about Harley Reid and where's he going to go and what team he's leaving to. Is it the same noise for Nasiah? Because I look at that situation. If he leaves, you may as well wrap it all up at St Kilda. Like, you may as well just say, thanks for coming, guys. We can't keep our best player because we only want to offer him 2 years and it's all done. Like, is there as much noise over there in Melbourne as there is here about Harley?
So, Scully, every time I go to a Ross Lyon press conference, I want to ask him about Nasiah Wanganeen-Milera because it feels like a really impactful storyline narrative in the club's rebuild. Like, if they lose Naz, you're talking about winding the club up. But their entire list strategy right now is built around Nasiah being the best player at the club. And then I think the underrated storyline here is when you're throwing in the money that they are throwing at Tom de Koning. Saints fans would much rather than prioritise Naz staying. They would rather way overpay for Naz than acquire a ruckman who has tremendous talent but is not in the best 5 ruckman in the game. And they currently have Royal Marshall, who, by the way, pulled off that precision pass to set up Naz for the goal. And Royal Marshall's still got a lot to offer, in my opinion. So the idea of them overpaying to get someone in and losing Naz, that's sort of unthinkable for most Saints fans. So you're right. Harley Reid gets talked about a lot. We should be talking about Naz at least as much because right now he's arguably the best player in the game.
The Saints were one part of that story. They come out victorious. What's the fallout on the other side and the discussion around Melbourne?
Sometimes footy throws up these amazing storylines. There's always someone who cops it on the other end, and that was the Demons. And then it just so happened that they had a board meeting the next day. So Simon Goodwin had to go in, tail between his legs, and present to the board about where he's taking this footy club with a year to go on his contract off the back of the worst collapse in AFL VFL history in the last quarter. So I'm quite sure that would have been tense and it would have been a tough sell. There is going to be a lot of change at the Demons. A new president is coming in, a new CEO is coming in at the end of the season. So in terms of a change at the coaching level for Simon Goodwin, it's not going to happen before the end of the season. My sense is at this point is that they will do some shuffling of the deck chairs around Simon and give him a chance to continue to coach out the rest of his contract and show that he can be the man to take them forward. But they are teetering on the edge here of doing a West Coast post 2018, putting a lot of trust in players. And then if you don't get things right recruiting wise, you can fall off a cliff. So they need to be quite careful with what they're doing here. But I think Sunday was probably symptomatic of the direction that the D's are heading at this stage.
All right, yeah, that would have been a shocking board meeting to be at. What about at AFL House? How's things going over there? I know you're speaking to Dills recently.
Yeah. So the AFL Summit is underway in Melbourne. So every club can send 10 representatives. They all are getting into rooms together and talking about the way that fans are engaging with the game. So a lot of this is more sort of marketing, admin, social media, a lot of that. Andrew Dillon, interestingly, today talked about the fact that one thing the AFL doesn't do well, that a lot of companies do well, is reward loyalty, like loyalty programs. People pay their memberships. West Coast fans rock up week in, week out, 50,000 in the stadium and watch their team get flogged most of the time. And there doesn't tend to be a lot of reward coming out the other end. So they are talking about ways to increase the rewards for loyal fans across the game, whatever that does look like going forward. But that's sort of the PRE sort of top. That's what the AFL want us to talk about. Now, I was asking Andrew Dillon today at the press conference about this fixturing nightmare that they've had in the second half of the year. I think we can all agree the weekend with 2 Friday night games, a bit of a fizzer on Thursday night. The fixturing was all a little bit strange. And he admitted that they made a mistake with giving too many primetime slots to Essendon and Carlton. That decision was perhaps made too early. And there's a lack of flexibility with what the AFL can do with the fixture, even once they've realised that they've made a mistake. So people have thrown around the idea of the flex, which the NFL broadcasters use, where they can pick and choose what teams end up on their schedules for the really big marquee slots. Perhaps the AFL needs to think about going down that route, but clearly they've scored a bit of an own goal with some of the fixturing this season.
Yep, that summit. It'd be interesting to see what comes out of it. I like the thought of a bit more reward for loyal fans that are signed up for a long time rather than just a token team store voucher or something like that. Being able to reward the fans, I think, could be great. Goat Fantasy, crunch time, as I say, I think each and every week or the last few weeks. Drew, where are you looking at?
Okay, so I think forward line for a lot of the season we have tried to skate through and hope that the same old guys we're going back to are going to get us an 80 or a 90. Outside of the top couple, there haven't been a lot of forwards that have shot the lights out for us this season. There's a possibility we might lose Caleb Daniel at North this week, and he's not scoring that well anyway. Isaac Rankin, even though Adelaide are flying, hasn't been knocking out big scores. There's a number of guys I could list off here. So I'm looking a bit outside the box. Who can we find that's going to score for us well late in the season in our finals? I'm looking at Sean Manor from the Cats. Now, they have a pretty good run home. They don't play a team inside the top 8. And recently, he's been getting a lot of handballs over the top, goals from the goal square. He's getting a lot of licks of the ice cream, so to speak, as Jeremy Cameron tries to chase down that 100 for the season. Great player, plays a superb role, him and Brian Myers. I'm saying Sean Manor, nice and affordable with this good run home. Perhaps that's where you can pivot. If you can't afford Bailey Smith, The only issue with Baz, as we know, is you've got to ride the roller coaster of whether he's going to be actually out there and playing, and he won't be a late withdrawal. So Sean Manor, I'm throwing his name up there as an option for someone a bit different in your forward line.
Yeah, but he also plays for Geelong, so I think it's less of a Baz issue and more of a Chris Scott issue, to be honest, whether they're playing or not. I just want to throw in a sneaky one because I've been doing the same. I don't have Bailey Smith. I traded him out, see you later,
Yes.
upgraded other areas. I think Liam Baker could be just a sneaky little big scorer. No Harley Reid. Jack Graham will be back in the side in the last 4 weeks, but I reckon Liam Baker, who's been playing as a high half forward, may go back inside mid, and we could get some big scores for the last month of the year from Liam Baker.
Are you saying may go back inside, or do you have it on good authority that he will?
This is my show. You're a journalist on it. You don't ask me the questions, so
Okay,
I don't know.
Farewell.
Brilliant stuff.
Thanks, mate.
Drew, as always, appreciate it. Drew Jones there. Goat Fantasy, check him out on all your socials and he'll steer you in the right direction.
Jeez, he's
for
good
your
at his
fantasy
job.
team.
He's good at his job. Just straight into the questions. Tell me about the lineups. I want to know.
Firing back at you.
Yeah, correct.
Ready to go, getting the latest bit of info.
Well, I'm on with him on Wednesday on Fox Footy. You can ask me then if you want.
Yep, brilliant. That was Drew Jones there in Victoria. The Footy Interchange, let's head to Queensland and check in with Tom Rockliff, of course, from Rockliff Finance for all your finance needs. 200 gamer in the AFL joins us right now, coming off the Pineapple Grapple up there in the Sunshine State. Tommy, I'm not sure anyone really thought that the margin was going to be as it is, but that was a big, big win for the Gold Coast Suns.
It certainly was. I don't think anyone thought the Suns would even probably win that game of footy with their outs, Reilly, Miller as well. Miller's always stood up in those Q clashes and gone sort of head-to-head with Zorko, but the way they played, they looked impressive, and it was a surprise considering the way they played the week before against the Crows. They had it handed to them, and there's a few guys in that team that would have been disappointed with their performances against the Crows and also last time in the Q clash as well. So they came fired up and took a big scalp, and now they've set themselves up really well, potentially to even squeeze into a top 4 position still. There's going to be a little bit of jostling for position, and you look at their draw to come, they've got Richmond, the Blues, the Giants, Port Adelaide and Essendon to finish, which should have been played in round 0. So that's 5 winnable games. The game against the Giants is up here. We know that'll be a tough one, but you'd nearly put them in for a lock for those other 4 games. So they could well squeeze into the top 4.
I've got them 4th in my ladder predictor. We spoke about the ladder predictor off the top, Rocky, so I've got them 4th. I don't know how they get there, but I think they almost win all of those games. The Giant one is the one that you've got to look at. And again, I'll keep saying this, that Bombers fixture at the end of the year is just an absolute disgrace, has been since they changed it from there, because not only are they playing Essendon while no one else is playing, they're now playing effectively a reserve side because they don't have any players, which was a very different side to the start of the year, which I know you agree with me, Tom. Matt Rowell, my Brownlow pick at the start of the year. That was a good game from him.
Yeah, it certainly was. We started the season with 30, 36, 17, 26, 29. So he started the season in his red-hot form, and you could argue that he was probably best on in 4 out of those 5 games. And now the last 6 weeks, he's had 34, 24. He was best on in that game that he had 24. Had the low game against Essendon in the 15, but 32, 30 and 37. So he's a potential to poll a number of votes again. I think Dacos is going to be hard to run down. I think he's probably the man that's got it around his neck at the moment. But don't count out Matty Rao. We know he went a little bit quiet in the middle, but there's still a potential that he can string in that 8 best on grounds, which goes a long way, potentially 24 votes. We know you need about 70 to win it now, but he'll be certainly up there.
Certainly will be. We pumped up the Suns after their win. What about Brisbane? Where are we thinking they're going to lob now? Because the top 4's looking dicey. Couldn't fall further than that, could they?
Well, that's the thing. They've opened themselves up now. It's really difficult to see them finishing top 2, so it's they probably won't get those home finals that they desire. And they've got the Collingwood Footy Club this Saturday night at the MCG, which is an absolute blockbuster. So this will be almost season defining where they finish. If they can win this one, they'll finish top 4. If they don't, they could. There is a possibility, a real outside possibility that they miss the 8, which I don't think they will. They've got the Swans the week after, which we know Sydney are in reasonable form as well. Then Fremantle over in the West, and then Hawthorn the last game. So they've got 4 challenging games. It's they'll be cherry ripe for finals when they make it, pending where they make it. I think they may finish 5th or 6th now, get the home final. They're going to have to do it the hard way again to go back to back. But yeah, they certainly butchered the opportunity in a couple of games this year. North Melbourne may come back to bite them on the backside, drawing that game and then losing as well. And it's probably where they sit, though. We seem to say it every week that they put their foot down for 20 minutes in games, and that's about it. So they have been inconsistent, and they probably don't deserve to be in that top 4 at come season end. But yeah, a big month of footy and 8 weeks ahead for the Lions. I have them just sliding out of that top 4.
Yeah.
It can be an interesting watch.
Yeah, correct.
Brilliant stuff, Tom. Always great to chat to you, mate. Thank you so much.
Good on you, gents.
Tom Rockliff there with the latest out of Queensland. To keep an eye on the Brisbane Lions. That's going to be a massive game against the Pies this week. Well, let's head to South Australia and talk all things out of the showdown, the fallout out of that one after the Crows' big win. Well, I say let's go to South Australia.
Yeah, how's Adelaide, mate? How's it going?
Because we're going to go to Dom Cassisi, who said he wasn't going to come on the show if Port got thumped. He's come back, which is great to have you, Dom, but it looks like you've escaped the country instead.
Yes, well, it's amazing how one person's dream can be someone else's nightmare, because Matty Nix in his press conference said it was a dream, that sort of game. But to us supporters, it's a bloody nightmare. And I said last week that if we lost by 15 goals, I'm not coming on, but I got out of Adelaide. I'm in Vietnam at the moment. It's the best thing to do if you're a Port supporter.
That's how big the rivalry is in the showdown. You got to leave the country to get out of there.
How's Vietnam?
I haven't crossed paths with one Crow supporter to give me hell over here yet. So
That is so good.
That's awesome. How is Vietnam?
Yeah, well, it's actually amazing. Got out. Well, I'm at conference, right? So it's been a bit back to back with meetings, but the parts we've seen have been unbelievable. Actually, it's amazing. We're in Ho Chi Minh, so there's plenty happening around here.
Very nice.
Footy Interchange conference maybe next year. We'll just start doing it from over in Vietnam and
Lock
Bali.
Lock it in.
Let's go with Dom.
Get everyone in the same spot. And it means that you could just maybe not think about the showdown for a little bit, but we are going to make you relive it a touch. What did you make of the game? Were the Crows that good? Were the Power terrible? Was it a bit of a mix of both?
Well, I mean, any team that can kick 20 goals in that weather, because the weather was, I mean, if the people watching TV, the downpour of rain was unbelievable. And it was wet, it was muddy, it was slippery. And for them to kick 20 goals in those conditions, you have to be a good team to be able to do that, because I know Port are depleted with injuries, but one thing under Kenny, under his 10 years, that the players generally don't give up. You know, they sort of push to the end, you know, but the Crows just broke them down big time. And to be fair, the last 10 minutes looked like Port put the white flag up, but I just think the Crows were that dominant. They had nowhere else to go.
Reilly Thilthorpe, there's just been so much hype about him, and I know there's been a lot of talk about the 3 talls, but like, where do you have him in the competition as a player? You know, if you had to rate him more, is he right up there, or is he just a young player emerging still?
Oh no, he's the real deal, and I'd put him top 5 in the comp. If he was playing in one of the big clubs in Melbourne, everyone would be going nuts. I mean, you look at that game in isolation on the weekend, and for him to have 3 goals, I think he had 20 disposals, he had 6 clearances, 10 contested possessions. His ability on the ground is as good as what it is in the air, and that's why he's impossible to match up on. He's just a brute. And you can see that Port Adelaide on one occasion put like a Bergman on him because, you know, Thilthorpe was getting up and down the ground. So Bergman went on him to try and match him around the ground. But then he just pulls him in the goal square and just ragdolls him because he's just huge. So he is unbelievable. He's an X factor for them going into finals. And, you know, like I said, it's just so hard to match up on. He's a beauty. He's an absolute gun. And the good thing for Crows is he come out of their backyard, right? So he's not going to go anywhere. The stress of him going back to Melbourne because he's from Victoria is not going to be there. You can build a club around that sort of player.
The showdown didn't get off to the greatest of starts, I guess you could say. Have you ever kicked the ball the wrong way, Dom?
I have once. I have, but luckily for me, I couldn't kick very far, so it didn't look as bad. But I mean, I'll tell you what, your worst nightmare is doing that first centre bounce in a showdown. You couldn't get any worse. And you laced out Fogarty too. I mean, luckily you missed it. But they're one of those ones There's one of those ones where you get home after the game and you're laying in bed and you just can't sleep because that is just like Bergman. He would have just replayed that a million times in his head, the poor bloke. I actually feel sorry for him.
I just think of Jamie McNamara. I was playing in a game and he came out of a stoppage like that. It was like in the third quarter as well. So, so it was like halfway through the third, comes steaming off the bench, flushed it out of the pack. But he didn't lace up an opposition. He laced up our player. It was Darren Glass, but he was coming out of full back. And so Glassy marked it like a full forward. It was bloody brilliant.
David Roden once, when he was playing for us, there was a back 50 throw-in, so in the opposition's forward line, and he got this amazing crumb off the ruckman, dodged 4, and kicked the goal from the boundary to learn it was a point. So, everyone talks about how he smiles as a goal umpire. He was not smiling then.
What a rush behind.
Yeah, that'd be deliberate these days.
How'd you call that? Roden, he's rushed it.
Insufficient intent. Outside 9 metres.
Yeah, correct.
Free kick.
What about Port Adelaide, mate? They're playing Geelong in Geelong this weekend. Surely they bounce back. I mean, you mentioned white flagging. They can't do that, can they? Or is this going to be a bloodbath?
Oh, look, as we know, it's hard at Geelong at the best of times. And they look like they're starting to hit a bit of form. Port's injuries are pretty full on, and there's even a bit of whisper about Miles Bergman maybe not getting up for Port as well. So if he's out as well, and then you haven't got Horn France. So I just think for them to be competitive, they need the best players. But the concerning bit on the weekend is when the weather is that poor, to concede 20 goals, that's massive alarm bells. So they've got a lot of fix in a short period of time. But you would hope that it's a lot more of a competitive game against Geelong.
And Adelaide taking on the Hawks, which is going to be a massive game too. Are you thinking Crows top 2 now? Have your expectations shifted?
Yeah, I'm going Crows top 2 all the way now. It hurts me to say it, but I mean, even on the weekend, I know it's a big battle against the Hawks. What's been the development of their list and the final pieces of the puzzle for me were, the Peatling and Cummings and Neil Bullen last year. Because if you look at the game on the weekend, Rankin wasn't on fire the first half, but they just had I call these guys like the soldiers. They just go to work every week. They bring the same effort, and they bring that hardness to the Crows. So the Crows have this sort of, they've got enough A-grade talent, and then they've got enough guys that are just prepared to work hard over 4 quarters. They don't really drop off over the 4 quarters, and they're just so brutal defensively. So I think that they are a genuine top 2 chance to finish this year, which is an amazing outcome after not playing finals for 7 years.
And a difficult thing for you to say, it seems.
It's easy to say from Vietnam.
Yeah, he's not in the country. It doesn't count.
Brilliant stuff,
mate. There we go.
Brilliant stuff. Really appreciate you joining us on the program. Go and enjoy the rest of the conference. And if the Crows keep winning, you might be staying there a bit longer, I guess.
Yeah, well, you never know, boys. We'll stay in touch. See how we go.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
Don Cassisi there. Great analysis out of the showdown.
Out of Ho Chi Minh.
Big win. Out of coming to you live from Vietnam. Well, let's talk all footy in Western Australia. We'll get to Eliza Reilly in just a second, Scully. But, of course, our WA news is brought to us by Heyscape.
It absolutely is. Heyscape.com.au. If you love the outdoors, but you want a bit of class around you, this is a me operation, to be honest. Love being outdoors, love the camping side, but you want a bit of, premium nature to it. This is what Heyscape does. Look, they don't have locations in Europe, which we'll get a breakdown from Eliza about sort of what's going on in Europe. And she's just copying absolute sledges here, which I think is fair enough, to be honest. Middle of the year Europe trip, you can cop what you get. But Heyscape, they've got locations, small cabins around Western Australia, Denmark, Yallingup, Busselton, Tujay, to name a few. It's in the nature. You can take your partner there. You can take your friends there. You can do group trips. Go check it out, heyscape.com.au. But they are not in Europe, and neither is Eliza. Now, Eliza, what is going on here? Where have you been?
Yes, hello guys, I'm back. Can you notice by the tan, the Euro summer tan? Very enjoyable 3 weeks away, sort of with friends and family. But, I was always switched on in the footy mindset everywhere I went. I was sort of trying to relate it back to work. And, I was in Athens for one day and it was sort of reminded me of West Coast, this once great metropolis. I think they founded football. They did everything.
And now it's shit.
And now it's shit compared to the Greek islands. I came off the Greek islands into Athens. So I was like, what is this ghetto? Like, why does everyone rave about this city that was once great and is now, there's graffiti everywhere. It's, crumbled, as has the West Coast Eagles. And then I was on Paros for a bit, one of the Greek islands, and it sort of reminded me of Murphy Reed at Fremantle. Everyone's, raving about your Mykonos and your Santorini, but everyone's sleeping on Paros, the rising star contender Murphy Reed. He's, everyone's raving about Levi Ashcroft, but I think Murphy Reed, we'll talk about him a bit later. He seems like after his derby on the weekend, he's in with a genuine chance. So wasn't sleeping on footy the whole time I was there. I was definitely keeping up to date with things.
You're good after a freshen up. Come off very strong.
Off the long run.
I like it.
Yeah,
nicely done. Still very jealous that you've been in Europe during footy season for 3 weeks, Eliza. But you come back into it, and as you've kind of suggested, things haven't changed too much. What did you make of the derby?
Yeah, obviously, I think it was an expected result at the end of the day, and Fremantle have now won 9 of their past 10 games and look to be creeping ever so closely to that top 8 spot. But we know what happened last year, so I'm not going to call it just yet. But obviously, West Coast, it's been a pretty tough run, losing Heyscape for the rest of the year on the weekend, and it's just not getting any easier for the Eagles with, Elliot Yeo ruled out for the season as well. It's going to be a real tough last month of the year, and hopefully they can pinch one more. But I think there was a few maybe suggesting they could upset Fremantle's finals hopes in the derby, but it wasn't to be.
So let's just finish on West Coast. Harley Reid, that Reid variety. What does that mean for his contract and what he's doing in terms of being out for the rest of the year? Has it affected it all? West Coast got a big decision to make?
Yeah, well, I think that the best sign we've had yet is this Instagram post he sort of put up on social media in the light of his season-ending injury, sort of suggesting that we'll continue to build together, I think, are the words he used, which very much hints at the fact that we've all been saying in the media that he will be signing on at West Coast and obviously still has next year on that contract. But there were some rumours and murmurs early in the season that he could be exploring a trade at the end of this year, if not at the end of his contract. But it seems to be now trending in the other direction. So it'd be really interesting to know what sort of changed in Harley Reid's mind and what are sort of the signs and things he's seen at West Coast to suggest to him that his future is at the Eagles for at least a few more years. And I guess in the interim, it's sort of who comes in to replace him. And the name on everyone's lips is sort of Tom Gross, who's been had a few chances earlier in the year, been out of favour lately, but has shown a few signs that he could be a solid AFL player in years to come.
You go from Harley Reid, and Fremantle fans are suggesting that they've got the better Reid in the derby. Murphy Reid was extraordinarily good. He the score assists and the way he set his team up, I think he's got to be up there for the rising star, doesn't he?
Yeah, and I think one of the coaches in the coaches' votes actually gave him the 5 votes for best on ground, and he obviously polled heavily in the Glendenning Allen medal as well. So that tells you if he's doing it in big games like derbies that he has to be in with a rising star chance, and had a ridiculous amount of score involvements, and just continues to not waste any of his touches. Every time he gets his hands on the footy, he does something brilliant with it. And I think if he can put up 1 or 2 more really strong games in the final weeks of the season, then he has to be the rising star favourite if he isn't already.
One of the great nicknames going around in Bruce for Murphy Reid. I'll let you do the maths there, Paps. Hayden Young, spoke to him after the game, 53% game time or something like that, and he wins the medal. Pretty good inclusion for Freo.
Yeah, massive. And it's remarkable to think he's doing this and performing this way after such a long layoff with that hamstring injury. But to win the medal in such a low amount of game time, as you mentioned, he's definitely that point of difference in Fremantle's midfield. And, as good as Andrew Brayshaw and Caleb Sarong are in there, he just adds so much class, so much class. I said class, didn't I? I'm still in Europe.
Yeah,
sorry,
you're
guys.
on your own time, mate.
But he's been absolutely brilliant since he's returned to the side. And you think about that kick he hit into the middle of the ground to set up that win against Collingwood. He's going to be Fremantle's X factor in the midfield in this last part of the season. And if they can get him to absolute optimal fitness heading into finals, then watch out, Fremantle.
Brilliant stuff. All class, Eliza Reilly. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Great to have Eliza back on the show. Thanks to Heyscape, of course. Couple of things, Scully, before we finish up on that. Bruce Reid, was he the one that snapped in half in the 12th man? They had to get the sticky tape out.
I don't know. I thought Bruce Reid was Lethal Weapon. Is that right?
No, Bruce Reid, the cricketer. You're trying to get me to. You're trying to correct me to figure it out.
That's good.
And in the derby as well, Hayden Young. So that kick against Collingwood that he did, which he spotted up Luke Jackson and ended up winning the game. I spoke to Justin Longmuir on the radio last week, and he suggested that Hayden Young was not trying to actually hit Luke Jackson in that instance, and it was a miss kick, which ended up working.
Yeah, but what's been forgotten there, that was Bailey Banfield's best kick he's ever done at AFL level.
Into the middle.
Yeah, that was a good kick.
Yeah.
Hayden, he was kicking it somewhere. He was going inside 50 and he just darted it. That's what happens when...
Apparently it wasn't Luke Jackson was his target.
Yeah, no doubt.
But he can...
That's like forwards. I wasn't going for the goal. Yeah, no, they were.
Heyscape.com.au if you want to check it out. There's a discount code on their website right now if you just want to save a little bit of extra cash and just upgrade your stay off-grid, sustainability-conscious cabins with premium interiors. If you want to get around them, heyscape.com.au, giving us all the news out of WA. Footy Interchange. Well, let's talk some footy in New South Wales, of course. The Battle of the Bridge, the Sydney Derby, whatever you want to call it, Scully. We were doing this one on radio, and it was an unbelievably powerful performance from the Giants in that second half.
Yeah, it was. It was. I think it was good to watch the back and forth. I mean, GWS a lot more to play for than Sydney. Sydney were basically just trying to ruin GWS's season, which maybe that was enough for them to have, but. Like Sydney were pretty good. It was probably more that GWS were pretty poor in that first half, and then they put the foot down. Like especially Finn Callaghan. Like I know there was probably some questions around when he signed with GWS and the big money that St Kilda were offering, of course, which they can now spend on Nasiah Wanganeen-Milera. But he's really proven to me over this year, especially that like he is a weapon. Like James Jordan's probably the best tagger in it, and he just couldn't go with him. Like he didn't have the physical attributes to go with him, which is probably Nick Dacos areas. I know a lot of players, coaches say they can't tag him. It's because of his ability to run hard, and that's what it looks like Finn Callaghan does the same. And so he was probably the most impressive bit out of that entire day for me. And then on the negative for GWS, the injuries. And then Sydney, mate, like I kind of thought about it a lot from Friday. They're not missing that many players. They miss Goulden for a bit, and we've seen how good he has been since he's been back. But really from a grand final side, the biggest change has been the coach. It hasn't really been a massive shift in player movement. So they're going to have to find a way to really boost themselves into next year. So whatever that looks like for the rest of the year, I don't know. But their season is well and truly done.
Is it key forward? Is that what they need to bolster? Logan McDonald's been out injured. Amati's been in and out of the side. They've had phone calls into Joe Danaher, haven't they? Trying to find something for next year. Is that something that they really need to look for?
Forward and back. They don't have key position players at all. We've got Brodie Grundy, who's moving his way to All-Australian Ruckman this year, the way he's played over the last 2 months.
It's just felt that they've had to rely on Isaac Heaney to kick a big bag of goals.
They don't have key forwards or backs, though. So I know they were really into Tom Barras at one stage. They would have identified that pretty early, the key position stuff. I think Logan McDonald, they would have liked to have played more footy. He's been injured. But he was a really high draft pick. I can't remember how high, but he was really high.
Yep.
So they don't have him, and you're right, they've sort of been trying to make it up. I think that's where their biggest weaknesses lie. They've always sort of found a way, Sydney, and this is the first year really that they just haven't looked competitive all year.
They host the Bombers this weekend.
Well, they'll win that.
Yep. That was especially being at the SCG. The big one's Thursday night. The Giants taking on the Bulldogs. This one at Marvel. As you said, there's a few injury concerns, suspension for GWS, but they almost can end the Dogs season if they win that one, because it'll be a hard climb for the Bulldogs if they don't win this.
Yeah, it's a massive, massive game, and I'm excited that we've got a massive Thursday and massive Friday. I think I said some different games at the start of this one, but I did say I was up at 2 a.m, so that's how it goes. Yeah, it's a big game. And I think it'll be a good one, given it's not at home for the Giants as well. It makes it a little bit harder. How they'll match up at either end of the ground. Who plays on Sam Darcy? Like, it'll have to be Sam Taylor. It would have been Jack Buckley. It definitely would have been. Now it'll be Sam Taylor. That'll be an awesome battle. Sydney playing Essendon, irrelevant.
It is a touch. But that Thursday night game is looking good. Who are you tipping in that one? Giants or Dogs?
I'll take Giants, but Dogs could win.
Good old flip of the coin. They're the type of games that we liked. We'll have a chat to Cal Sinclair next week here on the Footy Interchange. Well, time for the injury update on the Footy Interchange with Steve Gravina, former physio in the AFL, of course, front-runner physiotherapy in Osborne Park. If you're needing any treatment, make sure you check him out, and he joins us right now. Steve, great to chat to you. Of course, looking a little closer to home for us anyway. Harley Reid on the weekend, that ankle confirmed, and has ruled him out for the rest of the season.
Yeah, disappointing finish to the year for Harley. You know, it looks to be maybe on the lower grade side, but one of those classic syndesmosis mechanisms where he's obviously gone into a contest and got his foot trapped, and the force of the tackle has made him collapse into the ankle. The syndesmosis type injuries aren't your typical lateral ankle sprain that you see when you just roll an ankle. So you basically go the other way, and it takes a bit more force to disrupt what they call the distal tibia-fibular ligament, which is at the top of the ankle joint. So when that happens, it just means it's a bit of a slower rehab. Even though it's a grade 1, it's typically 3 to 4 weeks minimum. And yeah, given this stage of the year where the club are at and where he's at his age, they'll be conservative and he'll finish up for the year. And at the end of the day, like, he's had a pretty big workload this year, and it's not the worst thing for him to finish up early and try and hit the ground running for a good off season and pre-season.
It's not guaranteed surgery or anything like that with syndesmosis?
Not a guarantee, no. It's a graded level of injury. So the grade 1 would be, a partial tear to one of the ligaments, of the few ligaments around there, versus the high grade ones that you see with Yowie and a few of the other guys this year, where you've got multiple ligaments involved and actually causes instability. So the actual tissue up the tibia fibula in between gets split open as well, and so the whole area becomes unstable, which is why you need surgical intervention. But yeah, for Harley, lower grade, should heal up, but you miss this month and put him on ice.
Can you speak about the late change? We saw Harry Edwards come out of the game with hamstring, whatever that was, tightness awareness, whatever it was. What are the players that are waiting around to come into that game doing, and how long as a medical team would they have had to put that together? It was Sandy Brock who entered the game. Can you speak about what went on there?
Yeah, it's pretty unusual to go into a game, with a suspected hamstring strain. So I'd imagine for Harry, it's something which declared itself before the game in the warm-up, and he would have had no issues across the week. So if that's the case, then yeah, the emergencies would be pretty unknowing and you hope that the young emergency, they're prepping themselves just in case something goes wrong. But that close to the game, you're generally pretty comfortable that you're not going to be required. Sometimes you take players right to the line, and then if that's the case, then you generally prepare a like for like. And so a key back might have been ready and waiting and hoping to get a game. But yeah, I'd imagine for a hamstring, Sandy would have been unbeknown, and when he got called upon, it's a bit of an oh shit moment. So you quickly get dressed, you quickly do a bit of a haphazard warm up, and you're thrown into the fire.
And it's usually a physio running things as well from memory, because I reckon I've been in this incident a couple of times where there's usually a couple of physios on. One of the physios will come downstairs and start kicking your balls, and you're trying to do strides downstairs, and you got to get strapping done like that you wouldn't have usually. There's no prep whatsoever.
No, it's shocking because your S&C coach or high performance manager is usually with the group, so he's having to manage 21 guys or 22 guys, and so then it's left to whoever's left. It's got half an idea of how to run a warm up to head down there and try and get these guys right. So it's never ideal because you're doing it indoors and you've probably got 20 or 30 metres to play with. So they're not really properly kicking themselves in or getting enough time under their belt to get a really good quality warm up. So hopefully they can be managed either as a sub or on the bench for a period of time before the game to get a bit more of an extended warm up. But yeah, it's not ideal, but there's a situation that comes up sometimes.
Yeah, certainly. I want to just talk a little bit more generally too, Steve, about clubs at this time of the year and how they go about deciding which players they think, if they've got a bit of a niggling injury or if they think they could benefit from some surgery. I think it's probably mainly comes down to ladder position, doesn't it? If you can get a head start on someone's rehab and get them ready for pre-season next year, how do those conversations sort of unfold in a club?
Yeah, usually the ladder position is the big one. So if finals is more than likely off the table, then the club will start looking at how can we best prepare for the off season and pre-season. So if someone has been carrying a niggle and is going to require possible surgery or just an extended layoff, then shutting them down now and with a month to go, and gaining some extra time that off season and then getting a fresh start for pre-season is a preferable option, as opposed to carrying them through and then doing it in September, because then you lose a month of prep. It might come down to age demographic as well. So a young kid, go back to Harley, for example, how much to be gained out of the last month of footy versus getting him fitter, stronger in the off season, and being ready for his third year of AFL football and to have a bigger impact than what he could maybe do in this last 4. And so they're the conversations that you have. But again, if you're, a flicker of hope to be playing finals, you're not shutting anyone down at the moment. And so you're taking everyone through to that last moment. But that's the fortunate part of missing it, if there's any rose-coloured glasses to look at.
Yeah, it's interesting to see with some of those teams in this last little bit of the season. We'll keep an eye on. Steve, as always, mate, thanks very much for your time.
Thanks, guys. Steve
Gravina there, front runner physiotherapy in Osborne Park with the latest injury news. Well, this has been the Footy Interchange. Been terrific to have your company as we've jumped right around the country talking all things footy. A few things we haven't mentioned yet. One, Scoey's jacket. Is that just if you're watching on YouTube, got the Freo Retro? Is that because they've got the Retro round coming up this week? Or is it because they won the Derby? I think you've got an Eagles shirt underneath that.
I do, mate. Look, I've got a West Coast, North Melbourne, Hawthorn, Sydney, St Kilda, Carlton shirt on underneath. It's Jake. It's the Loosh. Yeah, retro Freo round. So I saw some of the players rolling in today with some retro outfits. We've got a bit of stuff stocked up here from the guys at Freo. I think you can go and buy it right now. It's in stock on the website for them. Honestly, I just like wearing it. It's less about what it looks like. It feels warm. It's pretty cold. I got a beanie on today. People are like, "Oh, you go for Freo now?" I don't go for anyone. And all these people like, "Oh, why aren't you being impartial? Why are you always barracking for these people?" And then when you are impartial and you're wearing stuff from other sides, it's like, "Well, why do you go for these?" Can't win, mate. So you better just getting on with life. That's what I do, mate. I just wear whatever I want.
I got barreled up by someone walking out of the ground the other day. Going, you're a secret supporter, aren't you?
You wouldn't like that. Supporter. What'd you tell him? Did you say, have a nice day?
Yeah, pretty much.
You're so nice. Tell him to fuck off. Sorry.
I think he'd had a couple. And his mate that was walking next to him was like, "Oh, mate, thanks very much. It was all good. You do a good job."
Piss off, mate. That's what I would have. Piss off.
It's quite funny. It was very rare for me because I normally just fly under the radar. So it was quite funny. I was just trying to scurry back to my car.
We had a story on Monday, BackChat, that a fine came in fining himself because he was so happy with the job you did on Wednesday night at the Derby show with the quiz and being involved with anything. He's a big fan of your work on Fox Footy and 6PR. And as you walk past, you got closer and closer. And he said, "Mate, thanks for everything, Skeeter. It was great to see you." Do you remember that?
I remember that.
Yeah, he was flat as. He's a big Adam Papalia fan. Called you Skeeter.
I checked my hair straight away.
So we haven't mentioned so we got the retro gear. The other thing we haven't mentioned is the BackChat bus, mate. So you're working.
I am working, yes.
Are you?
I am working. I might check in and see how you're going, but I imagine by the time I finish work, you guys will be well past the
bus is from
stage of me rocking up.
The bus is, just to reiterate, the bus is from the gate to the Wembley to the Leadville Hotel. It's I think tickets are $50. You get beers all day on the bus. You get a beer at each venue. We're going to be on the BackChat Ales, which has been released. So if you want to go and buy some BackChat Ales, you can find that on shelterbrewing.com.au. But the bus, if you can't be bothered getting out to the gate, and we love the gate, thanks for supporting us, but if you can't be bothered getting out there, meet us at the Wembley.
It's not that far away.
Yeah, but just meet us at the Wembley. It's fine. Just buy a ticket. We'll save a seat on the bus for you. You can jump on the bus and meet us at the Wembley. No worries. It's all good. It's all good. It's very casual.
Right.
Me and Maston are on it, so
You're going to jump up. It's not that hard. Just you get off the train station right there, walk across the gate.
Things will ramp
you're on
up.
the bus.
Things will ramp up. So we've got a good crew coming. A couple more tickets available. You can buy them at backchatstudios.com.au or find them on the Shelter Brewing website.
All right. Looking forward to seeing how you guys go there. I will send you a text when I finish work.
Will you be on radio?
Where you are. I will be.
Oh,
yep.
I'm calling in. I'll do hourly updates.
Just
Because what game are you calling? West Coast Melbourne?
Yep.
Mate, I'll give you 20-minute updates. You can take a 10-minute call every 20 minutes.
Might need it by that stage, to be honest, of that game. Brilliant stuff, Scully. Thank you very much. People get involved, become a patron, please, and support the podcast, and then you can get your questions answered on the Footy Interchange Exchange, which drops on a Thursday as well. Thanks very much, Scully.
Good job, Paps, as usual.
Been good fun, as always, right here on the Footy Interchange.